This is the Wandering Mike.
Welcome, everyone, to the Wandering Mike. Today I'm here with Harry. Hey, Harry.
Hello.
How's it going?
It's going well.
Nice. You excited for a little chat this Sunday afternoon?
Yeah, I am. It is afternoon now, isn't it?
Yes, that's why I just checked the clock.
Yeah.
Weekend already snuck by us. It's almost
Always
finished
does
already.
in Bundaberg. Weekends go very quickly.
Yeah. So to get us started with our conversation, if you just want to introduce yourself to the people, however long you want, just maybe let us know where you're from, maybe what got you here, but yeah, whatever you want.
So I'm from England, northwest England, Cumbria.
Right.
And I'm here because I spent all my money on beer and needed more money. So I came here to work and try and save a bit of money up. And now I've done that, I'm going to be heading off to Sydney.
Cool. Very English answer as well.
Yeah, pissed all my money away, tried to save some more. Yeah. Standard cycles. A lot of people, English people in this hostel doing the same thing.
Yeah, I guess,
Yeah.
I guess that is what they do there. Yeah. So just to test my own geographic knowledge, you say northwest England. Is that, I mean, I guess it could be bordering to Scotland.
Yeah, border Scotland. So I grew up near Penrith, which you won't have heard of. No one will have heard of. It's a small market town
Right.
on the M6, which is the main motorway between sort of the west of England and Scotland, Glasgow. And it's right on the Scottish border. So I was born in Carlisle, but I grew up in Penrith. And Carlisle is 10 miles from Scotland.
Oh, so it's actually cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's technically the most besieged city in England. But yeah. But the northwest of England is Lancashire as well. So
Yeah.
Manchester, Liverpool will be Cheshire is like right at the south of it.
And
It's the northwest.
and that's closer to. No, I don't. Is it
Liverpool-
closer to Wales as well? I don't know how far north Wales
Cheshire is
goes.
north. So the same as far north as North Wales.
Right.
So Wrexham sort of area.
Yeah.
Chester. And then
I did hear of
Liverpool.
Wrexham. Isn't that the club? Where,
Yeah,
like,
that's
who bought it? Some.
Ryan Reynolds.
Oh yeah, some.
Yeah.
Right.
Wrexham don't get much love from English football fans.
Right.
They're a little bit plastic. They went from getting 4,000 at home to 16,000 in a year, which
Right.
is a very American club now.
And I mean, I don't want to, because I've never seen it, but I've heard like stories. The city itself also isn't the greatest city at home.
Yeah, I've driven past Wrexham. I've got family down in Cardiff, Caerphilly area, South Wales. So I've driven near Wrexham. Yeah, Wrexham it's not the nicest town in the world, as far as I'm aware. But there aren't many nice towns like Wrexham in North Wales or in England, really. When you get into your smaller towns, there's no real jobs, no real industry anymore. There's a lot of empty shells of towns around, which is what Wrexham is in many ways. It's a post-industrial place.
So you would say that's the majority of northern England as well? You would say
Yes.
a lot of the cities are just.
The cities can be a bit
like
better.
towns.
Like your Leeds are nice, roughly. But your towns, they used to have a job, like they would have a job like mining or whatever,
Right.
and then that disappeared. And now there's just not any money in those places, and there's a lack of anything worth sticking around for. I see it a lot in Cumbria, where I grew up. My dad's from Newcastle. I've got family over there. I've been over there quite a bit. You see it a lot around there. There is some level of effort now to try and improve the north of England, but it's mostly centered around your big cities like Newcastle and Manchester and Liverpool, rather than the towns, which are just rotting away, basically.
Right. Which, I mean, it is a shame because people are not gonna, I mean, they can't stop living in those towns as well because if everyone would move to the cities, there'd be no space either way. So people kind of have to keep living in those towns, I guess.
And as well, it is true, and a lot of people do move into the cities from those
Mm.
towns. They go to uni and then they never go home.
Right.
But that's not good either way. People shouldn't have to feel they have to leave
Yeah.
where they grew up, where the parents maybe grew up, grandparents,
Yeah.
because there's no real investment in a place. And in the cities, more people just move into these massive cities. It's already enough of a problem with the size of London compared to the UK is insane. There's more people in London than Scotland, Northern Ireland, and Wales combined.
Is it? I
Genuinely.
didn't know that.
It's nearly 10 million in London, and it's about 9 million
Right.
Northern Ireland, Wales, and Scotland. It's insane. Yeah. And it just sucks all the money in and all the people. And these smaller towns, they will never improve
Yeah.
unless the brain drain people stop moving out. I mean, I've left Penrith. I probably won't live in Penrith again in my life. A lot of my friends have as well. My primary was very small. I grew up quite rurally. But out of my primary school, there's probably about 5 people I know who are either in Australia or New Zealand or have left Cumbria permanently. My best mate's done it. A lot of my friends have, because
Yeah.
there's just nothing there.
That's what I actually wanted to ask next as well, is you didn't just leave your town, you left your country.
Yeah.
Which I see like happening a lot in general with wherever you're from. Like we've talked a
Yeah.
bit before the podcast, like there's a lot of Germans here as well.
We're sat in Australia. Everyone here's left their country. Yeah, but I think a lot of English people aren't going back.
That was my next question, because I also met a lot of English people that have the plan to stay here long term, just because it is obviously easier in the long term for, or not obviously, but I would argue it's easier for people from the UK to get sponsorship long term than it is from any other country.
Yeah, because of language requirements, and yeah, Australia quite likes British immigrants. We just fit straight into the country and get to work.
Yeah.
In many ways, it's a very similar culture to back home.
Right.
Something like 80% of all white Australians have British relatives. So, yeah, there's a lot of us here to begin with. But a lot of people are leaving home because the money's terrible back home. It's really not that good. Like, I think I'm making more money here. I'm making the same amount of money a week here than I was back home, but I'm working 12 less hours a week. I used to do 50 hours a week for the equivalent of 1,000 Aussie bucks. Here I'm doing 38 and getting 1,000 Aussie bucks a week, just under. But yeah.
So is that also the main reason? So it sounds like you have a plan of going back to England and probably living there for quite some time afterwards as well.
Potentially, I can do 3 years here without doing any farm work.
Yeah.
So I've always got that option. I don't want to leave England. It's where I grew up. It's where all my family live.
Yeah.
It's my home at the end of the day. But there are a lot of reasons to stay in Australia. And being in Australia is quite easy now with contacting family back home.
Right.
Like, it's not like it's post only. You can bring people, which is quite nice. I don't know. It's a difficult question.
But yeah, the follow-up question would have been, so the main reason is accumulating money because you find it easier to, or like it is just paid better. Whatever work you do is paid better here than it would be back home
Oh,
in England.
massively. And the cost of living's about the same or slightly cheaper.
Right.
And the wages are higher. Like the base wage is higher. The minimum wage in the UK is £12 an hour, which is about 24 Aussie bucks an hour.
Which I believe is still better than in Germany, but I also haven't lived there for a while. So.
Yeah. It goes up every time. It probably has gone up. Probably lying to your audience. But
But it's somewhere around there in Germany as well.
yeah. But here it's $30 an hour.
Yeah.
Which is about £15 an hour. You won't get £15. I saw a thing, 20% of the UK workforce is on minimum wage now.
Oh.
Yeah, it's quite a high number. So my base, I won't get £15 an hour back home unless I'm moving to like management positions or something like that.
Right.
I've done hospitality and farming my entire life. And both those jobs are notoriously badly paid.
Mm-hmm.
And here, the base pay for both those is higher. You can make a lot of money doing those here compared to back home. A lot more money. So, yeah. Sad state of affairs, but it is how it is.
So apart from the money thing, I mean, it is actually, it's quite an interesting topic. And I think it's good to have mentioned it and to be aware that that is just a reason for a lot of English people. Because like I said, I've met loads in Perth as well, where I was staying. It is just a legitimate reason why the people come over here and just use all the 3 years that they can get to
Working.
to work and make money. But was there also a bit of a like the travel aspect of it all? Is that part of it as well?
Yeah, the travel aspect is quite a big part of it. Like, I do want to see the world.
Yeah.
I grew up in an environment where people don't travel, especially farmers. They just don't go anywhere ever.
Right.
And I wanted to see something different. My initial plan was like 3 months in Australia, and I got here in April, so that's kind of gone out the window a bit. But yeah, I was going to arrive, do Melbourne, Sydney, East Coast, maybe go home. Maybe do some work. I'd thought about that, but I didn't know as much whether or not I'd do that. But yeah, now I'm here, and I kind of realised the money's better as well in many ways. I knew it was, but I didn't realise how much better it was. Australia is a really nice country to just live in as well.
It certainly is.
Keeps you here. It's why I'm still here after, how long have I been here now? Got here in April, and it's end of
Almost.
November now, so you can, however long that is.
It's almost Christmas in a month. The
Yeah.
23rd today is.
Yeah,
Time flies.
yeah, I know. How is it nearly Christmas?
Yeah, right.
Like,
I guess the thing about Australia though, and New Zealand, because last year I was in New Zealand and already had the experience, which is going to be similar here in Queensland, of it doesn't feel like Christmas because it's summer. It's summer right now, so it doesn't really feel like Christmas anyway.
yeah, they've got snow back home. Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't feel right, the fact it's still getting warmer.
Exactly. It's gonna just keep on climbing.
Yeah, it's going to keep. I don't know how it can get much hotter than it has been recently.
Sure, it'll
but
find a way.
It will find a way.
Yesterday again as well was such a humid day.
Yeah,
Hot and humid day.
yeah. I don't mind hot, but humid is evil. If you've been Southeast Asia, you'll know
Yeah.
how that, when it just clings to you, that heat is genuinely one of the worst things.
Yeah, I lived in Indonesia for 1 year. I got very used to the, like, you shower, but you don't really shower.
You get sweaty walking out the shower. Like, it's insane. Hoi An was probably the hottest I've ever felt in my life. Like, what do they call it? The real temperature. It felt like it was 50 degrees.
Right.
That you just didn't go outside for half the day.
Mm.
And maybe I'm just English, but I can't do that.
No, but it is, if you're not used to the humidity, and even if you are, like, it's still just a different feeling, you know. Um, what month did you say you went to Vietnam? Was that the peak of like dry season? Oh, probably wet season. It's that hot.
June and July, I was there. I was there for like a month and a half. So June and July, which is wet season.
Should be wet.
That's wet season. Yeah, which wet season, that didn't help.
Then because it's more humid. Yeah.
I think in the south it was raining a lot more than it was in the north.
Right.
I felt. I did it south to north, so I got there 14th of July and left in June. And yeah, in the south it rained a lot. I was in Moyni for 3 or 4 days, and I think it rained 3 or 4 days out of those. So yeah, it rained a lot more, but also you can just get unlucky. You can say, oh yeah, it rains a lot in the south. I was there for 2 weeks. It could have just been a wet 2 weeks.
Right.
Like, you don't really know when you're there for that short amount of time. But yeah, wet season in Vietnam, yeah, it's not the greatest time to do it, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah. One thing that I heard a bunch of people say now, like I didn't do Vietnam when I was like living in Indonesia, because I did Malaysia, I did Thailand. Well, I did Singapore, which basically is Malaysia, but it's its own thing.
Yeah.
So that's the countries I did. I didn't have time to do Vietnam and Cambodia. I would have liked to, but I didn't have the time. So a lot of people say you should, well, not you should, but it's a good thing to do Vietnam from south to north. What's the reasoning behind it?
I think it's personal. The north has more things to do than the south. So Hue and Hoi An are the midpoint. South of those, there's only really Dalat and Detrine, I think. Trying to remember, that's probably wrong. There's 2 places in the south. There's Hoi An, Dalat, which is really nice. There's a lot to do in Dalat. It's got a lot of very tourist things. They have the Mario Karts, which you might have seen videos of.
Is it like a go-kart that's actually like Mario Kart?
So it's...
I don't think I've seen that.
It's basically a 3-wheel vehicle with a plastic shell, and and you go down a downhill track, and it's all gravity powered, and you've got brakes on them. And you do it as a race, and there's obstacles that you hit. So like you can just wipe yourself out into a wall. And because it's Vietnam, there's no health and safety. They put what basically amounts to a bicycle helmet on your head, and you go down a hill at about 10, 15 mile an hour on a plastic tricycle, basically. Like, it's almost a kid's bike, but it's got 3 wheels. I'm not explaining it very well, but it's, yeah, and you go around these tight bends and try and overtake people and be in front, and there's like trees in the middle of the track and stuff that you can just hit if you...
Like actual trees?
Actual trees. Just coming up the middle of the track. Like the track goes around them and there's a tree there, and if you hit the tree, you just hit the tree. There's nothing stopping you, just wiping out. And there's like 20 feet drop. Well, no, there's like steep hills and like a barrier about 4 inches high. That's the only thing stopping you just going down that hill. It's quite a lot of fun, but
I feel like I would just be on the brakes the whole time.
Oh yeah, like
I would be like, race, okay, but I don't want to win that bad.
You don't get anything for winning.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
There's some other things. Dalat has a lot of things like that. I quite like Dalat. But that's all there really is in the south. And obviously there's Ho Chi Minh City. Which Saigon is like, it's the biggest city in Vietnam. It's got a massive walking street.
It's its capital, is it?
It's not. Hanoi is the capital. Saigon Ho Chi Minh is the biggest city.
Right.
I think they're fairly similar now. It's because of the war, I think, because Hanoi was the capital of the North, something like that.
Oh, and then the North. Right.
But Ho Chi Minh City is insane. It's like, it was the first Asian city I ever went to, and it kind of just hits you how truly mental these places are in many ways. Especially when you're coming from, I was in Melbourne before then.
Right.
You're coming from like a city like Melbourne where there's actual traffic laws and things like that, to like the mess of bikes and cars and however those cities' traffic operate is still a mystery to me. Crossing the roads is terrifying.
Like I said, I've never made it to Vietnam, and I can imagine it's even a bit wilder even than in Indonesia, but Jakarta was very similar to that. It's like, it just felt, and it also felt like we 5 Germans, because I was there with 4 other people that studied with me, and when we were just going through the city to do like some touristy things, it felt like we were the only people actually walking, because everyone either had a car or a scooter, and the city definitely wasn't laid out for people walking. So
Oh no,
that's insane.
like there is an element of like, there's all the pavement stuff and you can walk, but it's not designed. If I'm walking, if it's more than 5-10 minutes, I just get a grab bike. Which you said you never really used, did you?
No.
No. They're very cheap and slightly dodgy. But they are, it's like Uber, but it costs you £1 to get halfway across town.
Right.
And they're very quick.
And that's what like with that traffic, it's probably way faster than a car, because you can like maneuver through it.
It's so much faster than being in a car. Like, so, because they just knit through. Yeah. Ho Chi Minh's traffic isn't as bad as Hanoi.
Right.
I was with a lad and he'd spent 3 months in Thailand, Bangkok, the whole lot. And he said, Ho Chi Minh is worse than Bangkok and Hanoi is worse than Ho Chi Minh. And Hanoi is definitely worse than Ho Chi Minh. The traffic is like, they just run red lights. They're like, they don't care. They will just fly through a red light at 60 kilometers an hour. It's like, yeah. How they don't die more often, I don't know.
Is it a thing of, oh, if I just honk, the people will get out of the way?
Yeah, if I honk, people get out of the way, yeah. Until they don't. Yeah, I'm glad we don't have, I don't think I'd survive driving over there.
No. No, I really feel like Vietnam is its own different beast. But I had a similar thing happen in Jakarta where we were all just like, what's going on? Like, we were in an Uber, like a car Uber, and we were on the highway, which, to be fair, they're only going like, I think it wasn't more than 70 on the highway anyway, because the streets aren't built for like high speeds anyway. But there's literally a car that just stops in front of us, puts on his warning blinkers, and reverses on the highway. And we look at each other, and the driver's just like, well, he got his warning blinkers on, like,
yeah, he's warning me. Yeah.
We're like, all right.
Yeah. I went from Moi Ni, which is a little fishing village, right on the Vietnamese south coast, to Dalat. And there's a mountain pass, and that has to be one of the dodgiest roads I've ever been in a sleeper bus for. I was lying there in a sleeper bus, bouncing side to side. We'd hit these potholes and my entire body would like lift up, clear off the bed, as he went flying around blind corners, honking. Because if you honk, it's all right. Doesn't matter what you're doing, as long as you can honk. And you do occasionally just see as well in the city, someone just stopped in the middle of the road in a car with the blinkers on. And they've got the blinkers on. They can do that. Yeah. But Vietnam was brilliant. I loved the country. Insanely cheap as well.
All right.
You can get a hostel room there for like $2 a night, which...
Yeah, that's
You can't get that anywhere else but Southeast Asia. Well, you'll never get anything that cheap over here. It's a bit of a culture shock when you come back and you have to actually pay real money for things again.
yeah. I think that's especially for as backpackers, but also I suppose for the Aussie people themselves. It's like because they're so close to, well, I guess Bali's the closest, but then you're only a couple more hours and you are in Vietnam and you are in Thailand, and probably Vietnam is like the cheapest of them all because Bali.
Apparently it's Laos.
Oh, Lao.
Lad I did Vietnam with went Laos after. And Laos was insanely cheap, he was telling me. But yeah, Vietnam's cheaper than Thailand.
Because it's like, if you, like you said, you earn like your 1 grand, 1.5 grand a week here, that could get you like 3 weeks, maybe a month in
Oh,
Lao. The most expensive thing is the flights there. As soon as you're there, like it gets you.
I can't remember how much I spent, but I think I spent about $500 round trip on flights, maybe a bit more, maybe like $750. I don't really remember.
Yeah.
I paid for it, some of it in English, some of it in Australian as well, which didn't help with trying to figure out what I actually
Right.
spent. But yeah, I spent like £2,000, so about $4,000, I think, in my total time, including flights for Vietnam.
Right.
And I was there for 42 days, and I wasn't doing nothing. I wasn't going out once a week, you know what I mean? I was going out quite a lot, eating out every night, and you're spending, and if you did that here, you'd be bankrupt in a month.
Of course, yeah. That's the thing, because obviously you want to, if you travel as a tourist, you want to enjoy yourself as well and do all these things. But if you wouldn't do them, you could really like, if you lived like a monk, pretty much, you'd be like so cheap and you could just live there and don't spend your money, you know, like.
But you kind of don't do anything for yourself when you travel. You'll have noticed it. You eat out every night.
Yeah.
You pay, someone does your washing for you. You pay to get your washing done. Everything is done. You pay for everything because it's so much cheaper.
Because yeah.
It's a very nice thing to do, travel Asia, but it's quite, sometimes I do feel a bit guilty the way you just pay for everything. Like your currency is so much stronger.
And that's the thing as well, though, that I mean, again, I only know for the Indonesian people who are lovely people. And at first we didn't realize it that much, which obviously comes from a very privileged position. And because when we lived in Jakarta as well, like even when you live there, like you literally don't do your own laundry because that's just not how also like the society is set up. You know, all these things still have jobs, you know, and you have people that literally collect your dirty laundry from your house on their scooter, and then they bring it back to their salon, and they 2 or 3 days later bring it back to you all folded up and stuff like that. And it's not expensive. Like for us, it's cheap either way. But even in like the if you look at it, what people would charge for it in Europe for service like that, like picking up your laundry, you know, bringing it back to you.
Thousands every year. Like it'd be a lot.
So even then, it's like that's something as well. Like services are just so much cheaper in countries like that. But for us, with we calculating it back to our strong currency, it feels like super cheap. And the first time the laundry guy came back, we wanted to tip him 10%, which to us was like 2 or 3 euros, and he got offended that we tipped him that money because he's like, I have my price and I don't need that. For him, that was a lot. That was a huge tip, like €3
I don't need
tip.
charity. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we kind of like he was still Indonesian, and their confrontation isn't as direct as it is in Europe. but you could see that he was literally offended by the action, and we're like, oh wow, like he's just proud enough to do it for the price that he
Yeah.
kind
If
of
he
said.
needed to charge more, he would.
Yeah.
Vietnam, you tip a lot
You do.
in these countries. Like especially in Vietnam, like if the bills, I don't know, 70,000 Vietnamese dong, I'll just leave them 100,000. No,
Right.
because it's £1 to me, roughly. It's a lot of money to them.
Yeah.
And I never had anyone refuse a tip. But maybe it's just a cultural difference.
Maybe it is. Yeah.
And we are kind of viewed as a very easy way to make money in those countries.
I mean, yeah, maybe it also made a difference. I mean, obviously he knew we weren't Indonesian people.
Mm.
Like we did speak to him in the Indonesian that we could like muster
Yeah.
up, but obviously he saw that we were European. So maybe it was different because it was literally just a thing that he did for every other household. So maybe he didn't really view us as tourists rather than they do in Vietnam and these like
Yeah.
obviously if you go to a restaurant, all these things, like it is kind of maybe they have a different mindset about it then.
But also, I think when you're living somewhere for a year, you're traveling in a very different way than if you're traveling through a country for a month and a half.
Yeah.
I never spent longer than, I think my longest stint was like 5 days in Dalat.
Right.
Was the longest I ever spent in one place in one go. And then you have, if you're staying in one place for a year, it's a very different experience. Like here, I've been in Bundaberg now 3 months, and it's very different to traveling town to town to town.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, so I think that would also be the difference, a different level of service as well.
Yeah. I think so. One thing, because we talked about it shortly a couple of days ago, a week ago, I don't even remember. But a thing that a lot of people do these days when they go to Vietnam, which I'm just curious about because it wasn't really a thing when I was in Asia. Like even the guys I knew that did make it to Vietnam, I never heard anything about the what was it again, the Hoi An Loop?
Hai Giang Loop.
Hai Giang Loop wasn't a thing 8 years ago at all.
Really? So Hai Giang Loop is a 4-day. You can do 1, 2, 3, or 4 days trip on motorbikes around Hai Giang province in the North of Vietnam, which is genuinely, absolutely stunningly beautiful. Most people do it on a motorbike. You can do it in a car. You can do it in a Jeep. But I did it on bike.
Right.
And you usually get an easy ride driver, which is a Hai Giang local who drives the bike for you, because the roads, as you can imagine, are treacherous.
Yeah.
Some of them are the width of one motorbike and with steep drop-offs, and I wouldn't touch that. Why would you risk it? You don't enjoy it as well.
Right.
As much. But you go through there, and every night you stay in a different village with all the people, and you do it as part of a tour group, and you get very, very drunk.
You did say most of the groups that's included in it.
So all the groups include, in the price of booking the trip, it includes the happy water, which is rice wine. It's the local, they make it themselves, usually in the distilleries out the back of the hostels. They make it on site, and it's very strong. It's about 40%. It's like whiskey.
Oh wow.
And you drink a lot of it. Like, I think between me and my mate and our user drivers, we got through like 3 liters in an hour.
Holy.
Yeah. Well, everything happened very early. So you eat about 7. By about 8, they bring out the karaoke machine. That's Asia. It's Asia, there's a karaoke machine.
Yeah.
And then by about midnight, you're in bed.
Right.
Because the happy water helps with that. that gets you incredibly drunk incredibly quickly. And because you're up early the next morning, the mornings are fun.
So how many hours of driving is it every day? Is you basically driving the whole day?
There is a lot. It's about 6 hours of driving a day, from what I remember. But you'll do like an hour, 45 minutes an hour, stop
Right.
at a viewpoint,
Right.
take some photos. It's usually a cafe,
Oh, yeah.
buy a coffee there.
Mm.
The Vietnamese person, the easy drivers go off and they smoke bongs. They have tobacco bongs in Vietnam.
Oh, right.
And they go do their tobacco bongs. They'll have a viewpoint, you buy a coffee, you sit there, you watch, look at the view,
Yeah.
have a coffee and a cigarette, and then off you go. Sorry, I'm going to screw up your audio now by coughing a lot. I've had a cough all week. I don't know where I got it from, but something's gone through the hospital.
Something is going through the hospital. Like everyone's just catching.
Yeah, because Verity was ill. Ruben's still ill, isn't he?
Charlotte was really ill.
Yeah. But yeah, but there are some really, Haijiang is beautiful, like absolutely stunning, but it's really remote. I think 8 years ago, as you said, it wasn't a thing.
No, I've never heard of it back then. Like, no, everyone was going to, I think Halong Bay was always the thing. Like Hanoi and Hoi An was like the cities you wanted to see. But you've never heard of the Hoi An.
It's probably the best bit about Vietnam. It was my favorite part.
Right.
And really beautiful, and it's a nice time, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
The bike, if you're on the bikes for a long period each day, can be a bit shit. I think the first day was the worst for us. We did 2 hours straight, and we only had one real break in that. That was a bit hard. You don't realize how uncomfortable motorbikes are till you're on them.
Especially if the roads can be, like you said, a bit bumpy and steep.
For me, it wasn't the bumpiness. It was the hills. When you're going downhill, it's just slightly awkward. You're sliding forward slightly the whole time down the hills.
Right.
Which is just awkward and a bit uncomfortable. But it's part of the fun of it.
Yeah, I guess from what you're telling me as well, I want to do it on a bike. It's part of the experience, hey? Like, because you said you could do it in a Jeep, but
you could do it in a Jeep. I did see some people doing it in Jeeps. I think you miss out on something when you're not on a bike, and you can't go to certain places.
Right.
As I said, some of those roads are narrow, and there's some viewpoints that you can't see unless you're on a bike. There's some places you can't go unless you're on a bike.
Right.
The bike would be my choice to do it, but I wouldn't ever drive it myself. They do it as a job.
Yeah.
The roads are no good. They're in places they're gravel, and some places they're just concrete blocks. The width of a motorbike. And it's like you're driving down, no one can see where my hands are, but maybe 2-3 feet wide.
Yeah.
Which also means nothing unless you know what a foot is, but it's about a meter.
Well, people have feet, so they can more or less just
it's about a foot.
imagine themselves.
Yeah. I don't know why I use feet, but I do.
I never know. That's funny that you bring it up. I never know. Like, they do it here in Australia as well, and apparently in the UK it's a whole thing.
It's a whole thing.
Like, you use kilometers. You use.
I don't normally use kilometers. I only use kilometers because I've been in Australia and Vietnam since April.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Because I always thought that a lot of the Brits, they use kilometers. They use meters in general, but then as soon as it comes to their height, they're like, "Oh, I'm 6'7". I'm like, why?
So, there is a system to what measurement you use when. So beer and milk are sold in pints.
Right.
Everything else is in litres.
Milk is sold in pints.
Milk is sold in pints.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Everything else is sold in litres, including petrol.
Right.
But when you measure the fuel economy of your car, you measure it miles to the gallon.
Yeah, that's just confusing.
Yeah, that one is a bit. Yeah, I can see why that one could be confusing. And then your height is in feet.
Right.
Distance is in miles as well, or meters, but never kilometers. We don't use kilometers at all. But that's how it works. And then your weight is in stone.
What's that now? Stone.
See, my generation don't use stone. I don't actually really know how much a stone is. I think it's like 12 pounds or something.
Oh.
But like Mom would say her weight in stone.
So.
I'd say in pounds or kilos. But we use both systems.
So you do actually, okay. Yeah,
We use both systems.
That's just why, because I always thought you used the metric system, but apparently you don't use it as much as I thought you did. But because that's like when I go to the United States, it makes it easy because I know they don't use it at all. Like
No.
There's no metric system, so it's clear.
Yeah.
But if it's kind of mixed like that,
Like for driving, we use miles per hour.
so
It's all driving is in imperial.
so that's
So like it's
so your
miles.
signs is actually in miles per hour. I always thought that was kilometers as well.
Yeah, it's if you see 70 on a British road, it's 70 miles an hour. Not 70. If you start doing 70 kilometers an hour, people get very cross with you.
That's fair.
But no, it's all in miles in the UK. Everything driving is in miles. The reason is everyone knows it's in miles, and it would cost an absolute fortune to change every sign in the country.
Yeah.
That's the theory behind it anyway. It's all in, like, because we don't board, well, Northern Ireland does, but Northern Ireland's its own special case. But mainland Britain doesn't border any other countries.
Right.
So we don't need to bother going over to metric fully.
I guess I just really wasn't aware that you had the empirical system at all. I just thought it's like a American invention, but I guess then they did get it from you.
Yeah, they got it from us.
Yeah, no, I honestly don't.
Their imperial system's different. Yeah, they have a different one. They use ounces for liquid.
Yeah, you don't.
We don't do that. And they use pounds more to weigh things. We don't.
Yeah.
We use kilos more than the Americans do. They use pounds for everything. We would use kilos usually.
But with the weight, you still use pounds.
Yeah, for people's weights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, you don't use like gallons at all, except for that weird miles per gallon.
Miles per gallon.
You don't buy a gallon of milk.
No, you wouldn't go buy a gallon of milk.
You apparently buy a pint.
You buy a pint of milk. You buy 4 pints of milk.
Right.
That's a quarter of a gallon. Is that? Yeah. No, it's half a gallon. I used to work in a pub.
Yeah.
So I actually do know my what's it called, imperial liquid amounts, because you get a 9-gallon barrel. And it's 8 pints in a gallon.
Right.
So I needed to know that, so I knew how much was in a pint of in a barrel. But apart from that, we don't. We are moving more metric. I think every generation is getting more and more used to the idea of metric, but there is definitely a lot of imperial used.
Like when you do your baking and your cooking, you use like tablespoons and stuff like that. You do.
Yeah.
Rather than like 200 milliliters and 200 grams.
Like you'd have a tablespoon of like salt or whatever when you're adding it in, or you'd use grams. Right. But it also depends on where you got the recipe from. Like my grandmother would only use imperial for baking. You'll never catch that woman ever using metric for baking, because all her recipes came from her mother, and when she learnt them, we only moved over, I think, in the 70s. wasn't actually that long ago when we switched from imperial to metric.
Right.
So she just knows everything in imperial. She just uses imperial for everything still, which
if you do all your life, it would be confusing to change.
I mean, I'm sure you'd struggle if you had to switch over to imperial.
Yeah.
Metric is simpler in a lot of ways. But if you know it, it just kind of works.
No, I can definitely see that. It is just a thing you have to, like, once you're used to it. I would still say metric is, but I mean, that's the whole point about it, I guess. It is a bit more logical in a way, but the imperial is just more hands-on. Is that kind of what it should,
what it should be?
Yeah.
I'm glad you said that, because I always found I could guess things better in imperial. I could not guess how long a centimeter is. Inches about that, which no one can see because it's a podcast. But it's about from the top knuckle of your thumb to the tip of your thumb is about an inch.
Yeah, that is the idea behind it. That it all kind of has like measures that you. That's why foot is roughly an average foot, stuff like that. So it's like.
Well, yeah, and it's a very old system, imperial. It goes back thousands of years.
Yeah.
To like Romans, I think, or something like that.
Probably.
I don't know. Someone smarter than me probably does. But it's a very old system, so it does have some weirdness to it. Yeah, you just don't have with metric that's all 100, 100, 100, 100.
Yeah. I guess they did. I mean, I also don't know, but guess it was mainly invented for scientific reasons, to make things like more reproducible, to make them like more, like more detailed in a sense. Like
it's from the French Revolution, I think, metric, because they tried to make everything scientific and abolish religion during the French Revolution.
Right.
So, which is probably also a reason why we don't use it as much anymore.
That's fair.
Yeah, like
it's like it's French. We don't bother.
Yeah, it's the French. Like, there's a lot of history between our countries going back a long time. They're all right now.
I mean, there is a whole place in France called Bretagne, so it's like
Brittany.
Britain is.
They're actually more closely related to the Welsh than they are to English people. They're Britons. When the Saxons came across, they landed in Brittany. They fled England, landed in Brittany, and became Britain.
And then,
yeah, which is why that exists. Which I always thought was a slightly odd quirk of history.
Yeah, no, I never really, because in French it is called Bretagne. Like, I think kind of like that. My French also isn't perfect, but
mine's
it's pronounced like that.
So.
But yeah, the English name for it is Brittany, so I always wondered, is it too close to Britain to be a coincidence,
Yeah, the Celtic refugees from the arrival of Anglo-Saxons in whenever 600 or whatever it was, long time ago.
And then they just...
Yeah, it's one of those weird, like, odd things, the fact that they do have a Briton in France.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the royal family of England, of course, is French and German. If you go back far enough.
What?
Saxe Gotha Coburg is their official surname, which is very English. They changed it to Windsor when World War I started.
Oh, that's why it's Windsor Castle.
Yeah, they copied it from Windsor Castle. Because when World War I started, they were a bit worried that the royal family, because Queen Victoria married a German, it's Saxe Gotha Coburg or whatever. I think that's right. And basically, yeah, they married into the German family, so they were Germans. So they changed surname to appear less German when World War One started.
Right, you wouldn't want to be German.
Yeah. People will still call them Germans. Like, everyone knows the royal family are Germans.
Right.
Germans. They're not Germans.
But I'm just gonna ask a very stupid question here. Probably. But it is actually still the same family. I mean, I guess it has to be. It's still the same family to this day. Like,
What? From
the
1,000 years ago?
Yeah.
Kind of. Little bit.
Because I guess, because if someone dies, like, you would have to just take someone. You know what? Well,
Yeah.
like, if there's just no one left in the family anymore, you know.
It's not direct. Basically, the way it worked was, if you have no kids, you go up a level and you look for relatives there that could work, basically.
Right.
There's a list of rules of who can be the monarch of England. Can't be Catholic. I think that's still on the books today. You can't be Catholic, because if you're the King of England or the Queen of England, you're the head of the Church of England.
Correct.
Which would mean the head of the Church of England would be subordinate to the Pope, which, no. That would not fly. That's not going to work. But they'll go up a level and look for someone, and then go up, if you can't find someone there, go back and back and back. So it's not direct, but yeah, you can trace it through
like
very
family line.
Family line, all the way back to William the Conqueror,
right,
who was French, the Normandy. But they're Scottish as well. Technically, it's a Scottish crown.
Don't tell that to the Scottish.
Who was James the First, I think, or James the whatever of Scotland. Big number for Scotland, small number for England. James the First, I think. When Queen Elizabeth I died, it was a Scottish man the King of Scotland was the closest person related to her because she didn't have any kids. He was the closest relative. He got the Crown of England and the Crown of Scotland, and that's how the UK started forming.
Right.
Or at least Scotland joined. Wales joined because
they have
took them over. But Scotland joined via that. Yeah.
So I guess that's why they're especially adamant about like being their own thing sometimes, because they were before.
They were an independent kingdom that Wales never was a single independent kingdom. Scotland was.
Yeah.
Wales was independent, obviously. There were Welsh kingdoms, but there was no Kingdom of Wales.
Right.
Scotland, there was the King of Scotland, the King of England, and then they just became the same person. And then the Act of Union sort of made it official. But you see, yeah, that's how we never Scotland was never conquered, which I find is quite interesting.
Yeah, they're just they kind of conquered you in a way.
In a way, yeah. Technically, yeah, they did. Like,
they took you over.
Scotland took over England, not the other way around.
It's like, oh, you're missing a guy. I can be your guy.
It's just, it was either live in Edinburgh or live in London for the monarch, and London was the more important city.
Right.
So he moved his court down to London, and then over the last 300-400 years, everyone's just kind of forgotten that it went, they came down, not we went up. But and then the Act of Union happened, and technically there is no Kingdom of England or Kingdom of Scotland. It's just the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland.
So that's when that happened, and then
but that took another 100 and something years. That was later. And my area, there used to be a lot of border wars. They were called the Border Reivers, and they would go border and steal things like cattle and take them back.
Right.
And that stopped when
it
became one rather than two. Have you got any more questions for me?
Well, it was super interesting for me to learn about the history and the things in the UK, because for some reason I never, you're not the first English guy that I had on the
Yeah.
podcast, but we just never went into those topics, and I just now realized I really didn't know a lot about
No,
the country
I
history.
probably don't know anything about Germany, like German history, really. Like, you know, a little, you know, kind of the basics for
Right.
whenever, and then,
Like, the World
yeah, World
Wars.
Wars, and then
And
partition, and then,
I guess you know about the partition. You probably don't know like what it actually like did to the country, like just being
not
two separate
really,
countries.
to be honest.
Like separating a lot of, especially in those border areas
Mm.
as well, like separating a lot of families and yeah. I mean, it was just for a lot of people, it was just an inconvenience as well, because at some point they figured out ways to just it was very corrupt as well, so you just had to
Mm.
pay a bit more so you'd be able to
Get
like
across.
get across and stuff like that. um but yeah, basically to this day, I mean, it's getting less and less, but it's not that far gone. It was 89 when we reunited, so it's
Not
really
that long
not
ago.
that far. It was like 6 years before I was born, so
Yeah.
still it has like this stigma, and it's like the East against the West, and it's also something that is very happily still taken by the media. Whenever there's something that you could take that narrative, if it is allocated money, if it is infrastructure, stuff like that, it's still often just East versus West, which I feel like maybe it is a bit similar to the North and South of England, but and if it is the case, yeah, you should point it out. But I feel like maybe we would also go a long way if we just disregarded that and just said like, well, in general, and we're gonna do this like for the whole of Germany instead of
Yeah.
always seeing it East and West. You know what I mean?
I think in England, especially in England, the north-south thing, because it is the north-south in England.
Yeah.
People argue about where the line is, but everyone agrees there's a north and there's a south. It's, as you said, it's about money.
Yeah.
We don't get the money they get. It's that simple. Like, per person, I think it's a third. Maybe that's changed since I last saw that figure, but probably not. HS2 is the big fancy railway line. It's high-speed rail too. Its original idea was it runs from London to Birmingham, Manchester, and Leeds. So Birmingham's Midlands, Manchester is the north, obviously, and Leeds is Yorkshire.
Right.
And it shortens travel times. Trains are slow, inefficient, and expensive in the UK, to put it very lightly. And it would speed up travel times. It mean you could have a meeting in Manchester at, say, 8 o'clock in the morning and have a meeting in London at lunch. That would be the idea.
Is that quick?
That was the idea.
Right.
It would be like the bullet trains in China and Japan.
Yeah.
You know, the super fast ones.
But yeah, because I mean, Manchester to London, that's quite. With the car, it's like.
It's about 4 hours.
Yeah.
England's not a big country, but it would be fast.
Yeah.
And a lot of our rail network is Victorian, built by the Victorians, especially along the east coast, along the west, right? Yeah, along the west coast and the east coast as well a bit, but the west coast was all Victorian built. So it just doesn't work as well anymore as it could. There's a lot of low bridges and issues that weren't issues at the time, but trains do 120 mile an hour now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So build a new railway line, be nice and efficient, and it means trains run better on the other line as well because there's less trains.
Right.
Which hopefully makes the whole thing more efficient. And that was 2010. They still haven't finished the fucking thing. It cost £22 million per meter.
It's insane.
And it was supposed to go to Leeds. That got cancelled.
Oh,
Supposed to go to Manchester. That got cancelled. Doesn't even go into London proper anymore. There's a train station on the outside of London where it's going to be.
mm.
And it's just going to run from Birmingham to London now. And it was a complete failure and huge amounts of money wasted for no gain for most of the country. But made a lot of people very rich. Because the UK, and someone isn't making a lot of money off a government project, it's not happening. But they get 3 times the funding we get down south on things like HS2, which the furthest north it was going to run is Manchester. Wasn't going to go up to Newcastle, anywhere close to that.
Right.
There's a lot of places in the north of England that just there is no public transport. It just doesn't really exist. It's very hard to get around without a car because the council doesn't have the money to run the bus. So they don't run the bus. Run the bus or do the bin collections. And they're going to pick the bin collections every time. So the bus gets cut. And then the government cuts the funding again. Our mum's a school teacher. She's seen it.
Right.
It's another reason why people leave in the UK. It's not going well back home. Australia feels like it's getting better. The UK does not.
Yeah.
Which
I also really don't know why. Because, I mean, I don't want to get into too much also because I don't know that much. But I would argue that right now the United States would be a counter argument for what I'm about to say about Australia. But maybe Australia is still in that upward thing because it's a rather young country. Because I can also see I don't think as bad, but Germany also things were at their best maybe 10 years ago and were also declining with all that kind of stuff. And people are not very content anymore. I don't think they're as unhappy as maybe they are in England, but it's definitely going down. So maybe it is just a cycle of these older countries versus younger countries. But then that being said, like the United States shows us how a young country can also like decline.
Yeah, and Australia is a very young country. Very, very young country. But at the same time, it's still in the same world we're in. It's still facing the same issues in many ways. It's still connected to the rest of the world. It doesn't have the backwards history, which maybe it helps, maybe it hinders, but it's still in today's world. And England, I don't think England's problems are because England are old. I think it's because we've got a political class that's heavily corrupt and doesn't care. No one wants to make the country better.
Right.
Unless they make money out of making the country better. There's an unspoken corruption problem in the UK. We spend huge amounts on government contracts that just don't happen. Like we give these companies billions and then they just don't do the thing we give them billions for. And it just never happens. And then it's a scandal for a week and then no one talks about it ever again. They never give the money back. It's just gone. And that happens way more than people like to talk about because it's a bit embarrassing for a country. Like, we fucked up again. Like, someone ran off with another 10 billion of taxpayer money. Isn't a thing you want to brag about, is it? That's one of the reasons why the UK is getting worse. Why people are leaving. It's a shame. I do love England. I grew up there. It's my home. It always will be. But when you leave, you realise how bad it is. And you realise how bad it's gotten. And it does make you consider whether or not you want to go home in many ways, which I don't think you as Germans really do as much. You tend to go and live back in. I know you've been living abroad a while, but
Yeah.
you tend to go home eventually again, don't you?
I think for me, yeah, it's just a special. Okay, for me, the thing I don't really like is the mentality of the people more so than the actual
Mm.
uh, system and governmental aids and stuff like that. As I always said, the system in Germany is a very stable and functioning system, and even though they are having challenges right now as well, with higher unemployment and trying to keep the social state at the capacity that it was for years, and now people potentially not getting big pensions anymore and stuff like that, like we're running into issues with our social state as well. But I would say it's still a very functioning system, and public transport infrastructure wise, like there's nothing that is going wrong at all, stuff like that. But for me, it's just, yeah, the mentality that keeps me from going back. But in general, I would say, yeah, Germans don't really, they don't go to Australia and say, "Oh, my country is shit," like that. That
Yeah.
doesn't really happen.
In that, English people tend to realise that. You'll have noticed as well, speaking to a lot of English people, we always describe our hometowns as terrible. They're shitholes.
Yeah,
It's because there's just no funding and there's just nothing in them. The country feels like it's falling apart. Like, it feels like when you leave a car in a field for 10 years and it just starts to rot away. Little bit by little bit, every day it just gets a little bit worse and doesn't run quite as well. And eventually it just stops. That feels like where the UK is headed, at least for me. Which, yeah, I'd love to say beautiful things about it, but that's the truth.
I mean, I guess the good thing, depending on how you look at it, is that you can stay here for now a bit over 2 more years. That you could also, if you wanted to, do another stint in New Zealand,
Yeah.
because you can also, I believe, do up to 3 years there as a UK citizen.
I don't know. I haven't actually looked into New Zealand that much. I
Right.
know they do working holiday visas.
I know that you can, because everyone that isn't from the UK, you can't really extend it. Basically, over there, if you do your 3 months of farm work, they give you another 3 months. So you basically just get the time back that you worked on the farm. But I know that if you're from the UK, you don't have to do the farm work, and you can for sure get a second year. I do think a third year as well, but I'm not completely sure yet.
Yeah. I haven't looked into New Zealand as much as I have Australia, obviously. It is a country I want to visit. It's a very beautiful country, I've heard.
It is. It's really beautiful.
But for whatever reason, I've just never really thought that much about New Zealand. I have to give it a think, to be honest. But yeah, you can, with a UK passport, you can spend a lot of time in this part of the world.
Yeah.
And if you get sponsored by your job, you're set for life, really. Once you get sponsored, you're on the road to permanent residency.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you want to stay in Australia, that's the holy grail. That and citizenship, but citizenship comes with its own problems, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think you can be a dual citizen.
I think it actually depends on your home country as well. Like,
Yeah.
I know you can in Germany. I
Mm.
know that I think French can't. So I think it really depends on your home country.
I know the UK does allow it, I believe. I don't know. I don't know any dual citizens.
Right.
I know.
I know. But that's a whole other thing that we don't need to get into. But I know some Irish guys that have a dual citizenship.
Ireland. As I said, it's always weird. Like, yeah, in Northern Ireland, you can pick, you can choose, whereas you can't on the mainland. But for very obvious reasons. Like, it'd be a lot of people, actually, I know, yeah, you can, if you have Irish relatives, though, you can be a dual citizen of both countries. Because
Yeah.
after Brexit, a lot of people went looking for Irish family members in their
Right.
family tree. To skip the queues to go to Tenerife.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
So it was if you had an Irish grandparent, you could claim Irish citizenship, which meant you still had EU citizenship, which it's much better than you. That's a whole problem we've got. You can't really go into Europe and work in Europe as easily anymore. But that was never really a thing for British people.
I also feel like it was more so the other way around, that a lot of people came to London, especially from Europe.
Around me, there's a lot of Polish people. Because they came to work. They joined the EU, they went straight to the UK. And then I think, yeah, that was probably the point where we started talking, do we want to be in the EU? Do we want, which is really weird to think about now, the fact that at one point the country was having a conversation, do we want to be in the EU? We picked no and then immediately regretted it.
Yeah.
Like I don't believe we'll ever rejoin the EU. At least not for a while.
Not in the near future. Probably be a bit awkward.
It's a lot of political capital and a lot of work on something that isn't overwhelmingly popular and no one cares about. We just kind of forgot that we left the EU in many ways. Like, everyone knows we left, but your day-to-day life doesn't change. I've got a Union Jack on my driving license rather than EU flag.
Right.
And I don't have to do 3 months farm work. That's the two big differences from Britain. Oh, my passport's a different colour. There's three things that changed.
So it used to be red as well?
It used to be red.
Yeah.
And then we got the blue ones, which is the colour it used to be before it became red.
Right.
Which made a lot of old people very happy for some reason. Do you have it in Germany? Old people who are convinced that life was better in the 70s and we should go back to the 70s.
Sure.
Yeah. Like the weird, like, we need to take the country back to being on imperial, not metric. So there is a group of people in the UK who, and they're like quite a vocal minority,
right,
that believe everything in the UK should be imperial, not metric. Which, yeah.
Well, I mean, everyone can believe it would be better if it would, but then being like, it should, because I think so.
It should, because it was when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, everything was right. And the world made sense, and now it's confusing, and I don't know how to use an iPhone.
No, that's basically the argument, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the argument. Life was better when I was a kid, because I can't use an iPhone. Yeah. And also we should leave the EU, because I can't use an iPhone.
Okay.
And I don't like brown people.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was quite young for that, but the Brexit argument was just, if you don't like brown people, let's leave the EU. They had a massive banner that read, Turkey has a population of 330 million people and they're joining the EU.
Wow.
Yeah. Like,
wow.
Turkey is never going to join the EU. Probably, maybe. Who knows?
I don't think so, honestly.
Not in a reasonable time frame.
We have in Germany a huge Turkish population, because we actually needed them after the Second World War to rebuild our country. So that's why a lot of the Turkish workers came over, and then now they're in the second or even third generation now. So that's why I know quite a bit about Turkey, and I'm pretty sure they won't join the EU.
Yeah, it was insane, the amount of just like casual racism that they just spread during
just
Brexit.
Using that as using that as the main argument, though.
It would that, and we give the EU money, let's just stop doing that. And it turned out we didn't give the EU that much money, and we got more money back from the EU, and the whole system was probably better being in. Yeah, But Brexit was probably the biggest mistake any country's made in a long time. Kind of fucked the economy up a little bit. Probably one of the reasons why the country's heading down the shitter, but what can you do?
Well, like I said, to end it on a positive note.
Yeah.
And like I said,
complaining about the state of my country.
No, I really enjoyed the conversation. I
Yeah.
really love to go into these topics, and I learned a lot. But yeah, you still have some time to spend on this side of the world,
I
and
do.
maybe during that time, things do get better.
I mean, and I am going back to the UK in April for a month or two.
Right.
Because I need to see family members. As I said, all my family live in England. And it'd be nice to go back, but I need to think about whether or not I want to live there long term. Maybe I will. And yeah, it's nice doing the podcast with you.
I'm glad you enjoyed it as well. And well, thanks again for your time, Harry.
No worries.
And have a lovely rest of the Sunday.
I will.
Goodbye, everyone.